That's right, baby. We're back. All right, guys, welcome back into the channel. As always, it is Pallet Evan, and yes, we do have another Steam Deck review. Guys, this one's actually going to be pretty cool. Not to insinuate that any of my other ones aren't, but something about being able to take a hack and slasher on the go. Yeah. And not just any hack and slasher, by the way. There are some great ones out there, baby. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Stranger of Paradise is cool. Neo, in a lot of ways, is a hack and slasher. Ninja Gaiden. The classic God of War games. But there is one, in my opinion, that stands above them all. You know what that series is because you clicked on this video. We are talking about Devil May Cry. In this particular case, we are talking about Devil May Cry 5. Dude, this game. All right, first off, let's do a little housekeeping. Let's do a little history on this bad boy. After the 2019 release for Resident Evil 2, Capcom was riding a high, baby. So what did they do? They come out with this number. Oh my god. Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry. What year is it, baby? Capcom was on fire, and guys, at the time of this upload, they still are, dude. That fire hasn't gone away. They haven't really missed a step. Now, I was actually very surprised, as you're going to see here, by how well, dude, Devil May Cry 5 actually performs on the deck. Like, first off, let's be realistic. This game is going to warm up your Steam Deck when you're playing it. Even if you've got the settings kind of, I wouldn't say like low end, because I had mine on medium. She warms up pretty quick, and if you look to the performance, that GPU usage is like tapped. It is the whole time I was playing, getting stat footage for this, it's capped. Like, and for good reason. Obviously the RE engine is an intensive engine, but also, like, because of that, look at the graphic fidelity on the game. Like, it is running really well. Now, I did see, performance wise, there were a lot of instances where I was pleasantly surprised to see the 60 frames per second that I'm always shooting for, but then there were a few instances where she does dip. I saw a few instances as low as like 33, which then I know a lot of people's like, I don't want to sound ridiculous, but like 30 in a hack and slasher is kind of tough, dude. Like, if you're playing an RPG or something like that, you can get away with 30. But I mean, here you want the fluid. You want the fluid nature that is the high frame rate. And I know 60 in traditional PC speak is not considered high standard, but it should be considered the standard. And on these handheld, these hybrid consoles, it's really nice when you're able to achieve that sweet 60. Now, what I will say though is, in a lot of intense areas, the game was averaging from that 40 to 60 fluctuation, with it, at least from what I saw, with it more often being on the 60, the 50, 60. So it's still doing a good job. This is another one you want to go in, you want to tinker with, you want to make sure things like ray tracing aren't on. You can mess with upscalers and do that and just kind of see how it's running. And I feel like that's going to be the case with a lot of Steam Deck games. I know I've mentioned it in other videos as well. You have to be willing to tinker. You have to be willing to really refine your experience to make it as good as can be. Now, luckily, just the stock base settings that it kind of runs the numbers for my Steam Deck anyway, were dialed in pretty well. I didn't have to do a lot of smithing around to really get this experience, but it is worth mentioning because I know a lot of people just want that quick plug, turn it on, press play, and you're going experience. You have to be willing on the Steam Deck to make sacrifices and make adjustments to make sure that your experience ends up being as good as it can be. And as you see firsthand, guys, dude, Devil May Cry 5 runs surprisingly well. This was one I expected. There have been a few games that I've looked at so far. I know when I had put like my Expedition 33 video up, it was just heartbreaking. Even to suggest like, hey, you can stream it as an alternative, and that is always something. If your game is not performing well and you've got a rig that is like that is performing well but also able to throw around the game, stream it. Stream it, because you can still take the deck around the house and stuff like that. I so far haven't had to do that with a lot of games, and Devil May Cry 5 is also not one of those games. All the footage you're seeing is from my Steam Deck experience with it, or from like the Pro or something like that. So it runs really well, again, for a hack and slasher. And I know it might not seem like a super intense game, but I know the Resident Evil engine is kind of CPU intensive. I've seen it firsthand from Resident Evil 3 and 4 and 2 and 7. I haven't run deck specs on Village, but I'm sure it's the same there too. Like, this game does put a load on the Steam Deck's GPU, but as you can see, the CPU threads are also going high. The RE engine is not to be messed with when you're cranking fidelity. So dial those settings in, baby, because most of my experience with Devil May Cry 5, it was running at 60 frames per second. And for that to be in your hand, to be experiencing that level of just hack and slash perfection, that's what it's all about, guys. That is 100% what it's all about. So if you have played Devil May Cry 5, regardless of your platform, hey, tell me about your experience with it. If you have played it on the Steam Deck, maybe leave a comment on some of those settings you've got dialed in to really maximize that overall performance and really get out of 30 FPS land, because that's how we do it, guys. We do it together. We take a look at things, we see how the game runs natively, and if we need to, we make sure that we're helping each other out. So I am going to leave this one here, but I will see you guys in the next one.